Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Heroes and Thieves. This is the podcast where we take 3 random words out of the English language and attempt to build fantasy or sci-fi worlds out of them. We're your hosts. My name is Greg.
My name is Michael.
And I gotta say, this episode is going to be a real fun one for us, and it's the first of hopefully many, but it's the first, so that's important. But we got a very special guest today with us. We have Mr. Adam J. Scholte, who is an author out of Australia, so all the way across the world from you and I. He's joined us here today. Adam, how you doing?
I'm going pretty well. How about you guys?
Very good.
Man, we are so excited.
A actual published author with us today, so it's not just us floundering around.
Yeah.
We have some actual legit people here now, so this is fun.
Yeah, not just us making stuff up. So we have a third guy to make stuff up with us. But let me say a little bit about Adam here before I head it over to you, Adam. But so Adam is the author of what will be a series of books. The first book called The Beginning of the End in the Romulus Chronicles. And that book is out and it's on audiobook narrated by himself. So go check that out. And then his second book called Sanctuary, released just recently, just about a week ago. And you'll find that on Kindle and ebook format. And he's got the third book already on the way, under works. We're looking to have that out by Christmas. So by the end of the year. So Adam is well on his way. He is on the path making this huge project. So awesome. Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about it and like how it got started? Where's your inspiration? And yeah, tell us about that.
Okay. I think the best thing to say about an author is the why, like the reason, the inspiration why. Seems like a lifetime ago, my mother died, my grandmother died. I lost my 2 boys when they were age of 3 and 5. I went into a deep depression for a few years. And then while I was at the lowest of my life, one of the characters came to me from the novel Oriole, the magical person, the magical girl.
Yeah.
She came to me and I started writing about her. Then the other characters came. Then as I was writing, it was like a self-healing therapy for me. So by the time I finished the book, it was only one book I was going to write. I was virtually a different person. Then I gave that book to an English teacher friend of mine. He returned it to me and he said, "No, you've got 3 books here, not 1." So as I wrote 3 books, I thought to myself, no, this is a 6-novel series. And I wrote the first 4 novels straight away. Everything I do, the first 2 drafts is handwritten. Everything's handwritten.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's a lot of writing.
Yeah, that is.
It is, but I sort of get so lost in my world, I forget it's writing, and I'm sort of like, as I write, I see it like a movie in my mind's eye. So it's not really work.
Yeah, I kind of got that as well when I was reading. You were kind enough, by the way, to send us some copies to read, and it was wonderful. And I actually got that. Yeah, he's got it for us there. I imagine that as well, because some of the scenes that you wrote felt like they could have been movie scenes. So I could definitely see where you're coming from with that.
I appreciate that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know why they ended up that way?
Why is that?
When I gave the first book to my the English teacher, he said, "Oh, there was a fight here. I know there's a fight, but I can't see any description about it, so I'm not sure what happened." So I'm thinking, okay, you want me to be descriptive? I'll be descriptive, and that's where it comes from now. Like from when you guys read the book, and I think over years and years of writing, because I went through so many drafts of the first one, that it turned out really well. Like I describe it so much that you sort of fall into, people have told me the first novels like they're watching a movie or they're actually there in the world with the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's cool.
That seems like the best compliment you could get, I would imagine, is when I'm
Yeah.
reading, I feel like I'm there. I mean, like,
That's what
And,
you
and
signed
that,
for.
that's good.
yeah,
And you
that's
feel
that's
for
a
the
pretty good,
characters.
yeah, that's a pretty good compliment as far as writing goes. So,
Yeah, it
tell me,
is.
tell me just a little bit about, um, like what are your inspirations as a writer? So, did you just come up with this character and decide like I'm going to go into fantasy, or have you read fantasy growing up? Like, were you into Lord of the Rings, or where's your roots in that regard?
My roots as when I was a small kid, a child, I didn't really have the social skills for friends, so I always read, and I loved fantasy.
Hmm.
From the late 1980s, I grew up with R.A. Salvatore's novels.
Oh
Yeah.
And you want an oh yeah moment? Here's my friend on Facebook, and we talk to each other frequently, maybe once a month, sometimes once every 2 weeks online. And I say, look, you've inspired me. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, keep going. And he's actually got a signed copy of my manuscript as well.
what?
Yeah. I asked him, I said, oh, can I send you a novel? Is that okay? So he gave me the address of his publisher and, yep, sent it there. So I'm very happy. That to me was like saying, thank you so much. I've grown up with Raymond D. Feist, the magician.
Oh, that's one of my favorite books.
I remember picking up The Magician because I asked someone about it and they said, oh, it's okay. Then I read it like 3 years later. I'm like, why? It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, that's a crime to say it's just okay.
Yeah.
It's
I wish I had read it earlier, but I love how that series finishes. It goes full circle. And I'm like, yep, thank you. I can walk away now.
Oh yeah.
But fantasy's been my entire life. That's why in the front of the beginning of the end and every novel, I've got the map there. I need a map when I read. I need to keep going to the front of the book and looking at the map. That's part of my reading repertoire.
I agree with you there. Going back to I often go back to the map just to kind of take a pause of like, where are we? How far away are we from other places? And it helps you to imagine like I'm there as well. So that's cool.
Crazy. R.A. Salvage, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. I wanted to go back to that.
Like
you can't just pass over that.
Our whole second season was building a world to play Dungeons and Dragons in. But it was heavily based off of, that kind of lore that, I'm not going to say he pioneered it, but he came up with a ton of it, right? Like the Forgotten Realms stuff, the Dark Elves, the Drow, all that stuff is like, that's it's huge.
Yeah. I think for about 2 years now we've been talking.
That's great.
But he's
incredible.
Nice and humble, and because I explain that I've been following him and I admire what he's done, that's sort of helped push me in the direction, and he's just being very supportive. So
that's awesome.
I've been thankful someone as big as who he is sort of encouraging me starting out the way I am. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like that.
How's that for a name drop?
Yeah, that's a name drop.
Yeah, there's no more we can do. Thanks a lot. No. And also, I also have to put this out there that Magician is one of the few books that I've read more than once. Because normally if I read a book, I'm done. But Magician, I've read 3 times because it just, it's so good. We can't talk about it because this isn't about Magician, but I would if I could for the whole hour. That book is incredible.
Do you mind if I say something about the Magician? You've only read it once. Referring to the beginning of the end, which is the first novel of my series.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote that book, I wrote it with the idea of I better go back. When I write my novels, I write them from the end to the beginning. So without doing any spoilers, when the part happens with the horse, I discovered that first. Then I went back to the dogfight scene, and then smaller bits where Romulus could communicate with animals to sort of leave hints. Okay, there's something small going on. Then later on, it increases slightly and slightly to sort of give hints about what's going to happen in the novel. Certain people like the big twist at the end with Remus. I won't say any more, but there's something revealed about Remus at the end, the bad guy. And I've had people like 3/4 of the way through the book go, this is the thing about Remus. And I went, oh, you found out because I dropped little hints. I want the reader to feel as if they're smarter than me because I'm trying to trick the reader along. And if they can guess the little hints, then it's like, I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's great.
And you've done your job.
That idea, because a lot of times when we're reading books or when we're watching shows or movies, we're trying to figure it out ahead. We're like, oh, I already know where they're going. And then in that way, you could even like kind of steer them off course a little bit too. You could say, oh, well, you didn't know where I was going because I led you astray. Or you could kind of, build up their knowledge about things, which is really cool. I like that. That adds to the fun of the books, I think.
Yeah. So are there any characters that stood out for you besides like Romulus? Like, did you have a favorite character?
Without like spoiling a lot.
No, you can do this without spoiling.
My favorite character was Pip. I don't know if that resonates with anybody else here.
No, Pip resonates with because I've done a few talks in Melbourne, like in cinemas for book lovers and that sort of thing. Pip's attitude, like in the story, Pip is an 18-year-old thief. She's a very very aggressive person. She's covered in throwing knives, but what's sharper than her throwing knives is her tongue.
Yeah.
And basically I put her in there for two reasons, to sort of show, because I've been a fan of fantasy for decades, that Romulus is the main character. He's a male. Usually in fantasy, things happen to the main character, but he gets himself out of it. Romulus is hopeless, and without Pip, like a strong female supportive character who knows the world way better than Romulus, she's able to pull him out. And she's also based on the characteristics of my daughter, the way my daughter interacts with me.
I was going to ask you that. Is it based off of
my daughter burns me. Yeah, my daughter burns me so much. She constantly, like I said to her, like, my name's Adam. I called her up one day thinking I'll be a bit of a smart person. I said, what's the opposite of my name? Adam. I was waiting for her to say subtractum. But she said the opposite of my name is cool, as in I'm not cool.
Oh. She cooked you.
She does the burns.
Gotcha.
And did you like this doesn't give away anything, the story of the Kahili people?
Did I
when Romulus was having, did you like the way I described the Kahili people and how they got into their situation?
Yeah,
the backstory.
Yeah, I did have a question that was not related to them. Oops. But,
go.
But before we get into our building, I kind of think I might know the answer now that we've talked a little bit. But I had who are you in this story? Because when we're writing, we write ourselves, right? We write ourselves into it.
I totally forgot about that. I am Romulus.
That's what I thought.
I am Romulus. And at the end, I'll talk in a language that you guys understand. When Romulus is in the city of Kia for a few days, everything he goes through, especially the mental things, I went through very, very similar things. Where I was broken to a point where I thought I've lost everything, everything's taken from me. And then I discovered that even more stuff could be taken from me. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that could happen. But in doing so, I found my true power. So in a way, it was a major blessing for me, because I'm stronger now, like mentally, physically, everything, than I could have ever dreamed or hoped for.
Yeah,
it just everything happened really cool.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, as I was reading, I was trying to imagine, because I didn't know you when I was reading the book.
No.
And so I was imagining, who is he? Which character is the author? Because usually you insert yourself somewhere.
Yeah.
But when we first met each other now, when you told us there's a little tragedy, well, big tragedy in your history, I kind of made that link. Like, okay, I see that now.
Yep.
Which is cool. I do like that. it really tells us like you put yourself into this. This is your soul. This is your love. This is what you are.
Everything in the story, it's the air in my lungs and the blood in my veins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Constantly. It's like I walk up to people and like in the bookstore, I'll go, oh, this is an interesting book. Pick up my novel. I'm a psychic. Please hold this book and read any paragraph. And they'll read the paragraph. I'll go, oh, this is going to happen. That's already happened. This and this and this. And they're reading the book going, oh, how did you know that? I went, I'm actually the author.
I wrote it.
I actually wrote
That's a
the
good
book.
trick.
Yeah.
Got him.
One last thing. Did you like, because in the story, Romulus has 2 daughters. Grace is 8.
Yeah.
And Kate is about 12. It says that on the blurb that they have particular abilities which show themselves. Did you like the way how I handled that?
Like the introduction to their abilities, or just
the introduction? Yeah,
general? I think I like the the introduction to all of them. Not
good,
just
good.
not just those 2, but Romulus himself, right? It's everybody.
Yeah.
So
I will say that Kate's, I think it was Kate's introduction. It was near the beginning of the book with the
apples.
With the apples. That did hook me. I was like, what? But in a good way, I was like, what is going on? And so I thought it was well done. Yeah.
Yeah. And then see, that's what I wanted to do, was write a fantasy novel where there was nothing wasted. See small bits about Kate and the apples, you're like, what was that for? And then later on in the novel, she does other things, and you're like, oh, this is growing.
Yeah.
And did you like the introduction of the dryads, the tree people?
Mm-hmm.
Just that was beautiful for me. The way I did that, I love that.
What were you? Yeah, what were you going through with that? Were you in a state doing that, or was that just free flowing from you when you were writing that stuff?
When I grew up, I used to love the main river in Melbourne is the Yarra River.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it in miles, 10 miles north of the city. On either side of the Yarra River is so much parklands and bush and everything like that. I used to love walking through there, and my imagination goes wild when I was a kid. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you could walk into a tree here and pop out of another tree like 2 or 3 miles down the track? Just stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
And then they were interested in Grace. I played around with that a lot. And I'm like, a child of that age, these dryad people are really fun, but should she stay? Should she not stay? And I sort of forced her hand a bit. Like with my writing, I love when something really good or really bad's about to happen, I stop and I talk about something else. And people love that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, oh, but you were just about to... Oh.
Yeah, I know. Did you like my point of view? The different points of views? Like you had Pip, King Zachary, Shigar, the magician.
Mm-hmm.
He's... I left so many hints about Shigar. It's not funny.
How is that?
What
Shigar?
do you think of him?
Is that...
Yeah. Shigar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a big fan of I've said this before, I'm a big fan of like Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives, and you did a lot of that where the perspectives like in the chapters change to different people, and so it feels very much like a movie almost, where we cut to scene, cool. cut to a different scene, and I think that's really good. That's really engaging. So yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I love that.
There's a lot of cool bits. We could go on probably for hours with you.
Yeah, we could.
About your book. Let's move into some words.
Go.
Let's
do it.
hear. And as we're going through these words, I do want, like if you want to compare some things or bring some things in from your world, maybe not from the novel itself, but things that exist.
No.
That's totally cool.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna build a fresh world, and let's dive into it. Yeah. I got the words today, so let's do it.
Right,
word number one.
First one.
Word number one, my friends, is triangle.
Triangle. Okay, that's a shape.
I always love starting this. I love it so much. The word is triangle, so give me a world.
Okay, so when you say triangle, there's two things I think of. There's the obvious, a triangle shape, and number two is the instrument, which is also a triangle, but it makes, you hit it and it goes ding. Those are the two things I think of.
That's what you got, huh? Yeah. Adam, what comes to mind right off the bat?
Wow, that musical instrument threw me off. I was like, oh, okay. That was the only instrument they let me play with in music class.
Yeah.
I was banned from everything else. With the triangles, the first thing that come to my mind is a frozen wasteland surrounded by the ice-capped mountains. Because the triangles are on the top of the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like even the cliffs and everything's rugged and sharp and very inhospitable. I went straight to that dark place.
Okay, I thought of a shape. You thought of a whole landscape. We're on a different level.
All right, this is why we have you. This is good.
I thought we were world building.
Yeah.
In my mind, everything is world building.
Yeah,
I can't even stop it. Yep, go.
Okay, so let's start with that then.
That's cool.
That's a really neat insight into the mind right there. So you're talking about a frozen landscape because kind of the top of the mountains with the ice, the snow-capped mountains kind of make the shape of a triangle. That's really neat. So what do I know about frozen landscapes? Let me tell you.
I live in one. So
yeah. we kind of live in one.
I live in the
especially
mountains.
This winter.
Very frozen. This is a fake background I've got, but this is what it looks like outside. It's frozen landscapes.
Yeah, art imitates reality in that background.
Yeah.
It's harsh. It's when people talk about like frozen wastelands, like if you talk about like Antarctica, for example, I immediately in my mind it's a desert, just not sand, right? But it is
with snow
for me. Like in all intents and purposes, it feels like a desert in terms of like survivability and kind of hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of the living aspect. But what would you say? I'm going to throw an idea out here for you guys. So we're talking about a frozen wasteland.
Yeah. What
would you say if we put a people there? It's been done before, right?
Gotta have
Eskimos and whatnot. It can happen. So what would you think about that? Populating some people
there.
What?
So,
go ahead.
When I thought of my world, there was already people there.
Okay.
Everything's bleak, and they're like just trying to scratch out a survival. Do you know what I mean? Just just getting by from day to day. They can't think too far in the future because their life is so bleak.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a thriving society by any means, but it is surviving. So it ends up being in that case, it would end up being a fairly harsh way of life, not just because of where you're living, but also kind of their attitudes too. You think like the way that they treat others. What would you think? Like in my mind, they're nomadic. What do we think about that?
You'd have to be nomadic because if you stay in one place too long, there's only so much food you can hunt and gather.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be constantly moving. And if you're nomadic and you're moving, you need to be incredibly hostile to any other groups of people you come to because they're competition for your food and your survival, not only you, of the people in your group.
I like that.
So you've got to be real nasty. That's just survival instincts.
So we've got small warring groups just to survive, moving around this harsh
just like the old Mongols.
Yeah.
Before Genghis Khan came along, before then they were nomadic tribes and they did not get along with each other.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of fighting over land and resources.
Constantly warring.
Now, in this world we're building, in this fake imaginary world, are these are these humanoid people? Obviously humanoid, but are they human or are we thinking they're dwarf-like? Are they elf-like? Sci-fi? Are they robot-like? Like what are we feeling?
I've just gone back to the old Vikings.
Oh,
that's what I'm picturing. No, the way the Vikings were, but sort of in a little bit of a different sense.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings weren't that bad, but sort of like Vikings on steroids,
Okay.
like increasingly berserk.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the Vikings were like, when they invaded a country, then they settled down. These
Mm-hmm.
guys can't settle down because basically, as soon as their guard goes down, they can lose everything. That's their whole outlook on life. Always got to be aggressive, always on guard, otherwise you lose everything.
All right. That's cool. So there's no let me think here, because yeah, in my view now, I'm forming these, tribal people walking around. If they find each other, there's conflict, pretty much without question. Is there room here for a hub, a trading hub?
That's what I was just thinking.
But maybe they're less aggressive. Maybe they've found a place. I don't know.
You said that. That's what I was thinking. I really want to add something like that. Maybe it's not like a peaceful, sanctuary type place, like a neutral zone. But I do think if we could find a way to spice it up by adding maybe it's like an underground place. So it's a little bit out of the climate,
Mm-hmm.
but a place that is static. In this whole world of moving parts, one place that is static, I think would be fun, because then you could introduce who rules that and for how long and why, or does anybody rule it? I think,
Do they battle
yes.
over the right to rule it? That could be a thing, very Viking kind of style.
That adds so many layers. That is actually good. It'd be incredibly hard to write, but
Right.
that is so cool, because if you had that down pat, because I didn't even think of that. They needed trading, because that'd help each other out. They'd have to drop their guard for a certain amount just for that little trade. And then you've got to think of who goes in for the trade. Is it just one person from each tribe?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that will decrease the animosity. And just say one person from the tribe goes in and he doesn't come back, that can start a whole new can of worms.
Oh yeah, that's a war right off the bat.
But then again, a war against who?
Right.
Against
Who did
the
it?
trading post or someone else? See, that you've got layers upon layers upon layers.
Oh yeah,
You've got a whole garden of onion rings.
That's
so
much. Yeah.
It's a good thing that's my favorite food.
I love onion rings.
Yeah, yours is the wrong guy. I love onion rings. So, also, while we're talking, now that I said underground, I really want to put it underground. And since it's underground, I want to make it also, and let me know your thoughts on this. I want to make this place, this static place, this city, whatever it is, kind of like the ruins of a once civilization. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like a lost civilization.
Yeah. Just to add a little flavor, because then it would give you, the place is already built, it's there, and so then maybe you could call it, to them it's a religious site, so that's why maybe there's peace. Because one thing that I really love of world history, and I know that at one point in history, kind of before, maybe it was before the Crusades or during, but there was a point, and there was a shrine in a little cave I think it was in Jerusalem, where Christians, Jews, and Muslims all went to this same place, this same little cave, this same little shrine, and they all worshipped peacefully. At one point in history, that was there, and there's archaeological evidence to, not archaeological, it's not that old, but there's evidence to prove that. And that's what I think. If you add that religious aspect to it, maybe that could give us place. Yeah, maybe that could give us the end to a ceasefire, this is a holy place, nobody dies here.
Grounds.
Yeah,
I have an idea.
A layer on top of that, because that holy place is that's really cool. But the icing on top of the cake with that one, not only is it holy, but what holds them back? Suspicion. There's if we do something wrong here, this may happen to us, or the gods look down upon us, or the spirits will come for us, whatever. But because people way back in time, in the centuries, have been very suspicious about any religion or anything they don't know, and that gives them cause for hesitation. This is a good one. This story thinks like, oh, out of a triangle, we got this.
Yeah,
we've got a whole world now.
This is getting real spicy.
Deeper down the rabbit hole.
But let's. You're having fun now, but wait till I hit word number 2 because I think you're gonna hate me.
Okay, is word number 2 circle?
No.
Because then we can play the Squid Game.
Yeah, then it's Squid Game.
Okay, go.
Let's move on to word number 2. Michael, you ready?
Yeah, go.
All right. Word number This is so good. Word number 2 is documents.
Documents.
Yeah. Like the files you keep in a cabinet.
I know what documents are. I'm aware of what documents are.
I'm just laughing because we just built this world that feels a little more medieval, you know?
It does, yeah.
And so you don't immediately say, oh, these people had documents.
Let me see your documents. Right. Yeah. They're not saying
but
that.
Maybe. That's the challenge of the podcast. So hit me with some more ideas. The word is documents.
My word is curveball. Would you like me to throw you a curveball?
Yep, that's what we do.
Yes.
Okay. Back in, we'll use the medieval Game of Thrones times.
Yeah.
You've got two separate kingdoms. They've been negotiating for years to join forces against another unknown enemy. And one courier has been sent from one kingdom to the other with the final documents. That courier has been captured by the enemy who they're going to join against, is killed, and the documents gone through. And then that, just say you've got Kingdom 1 and Kingdom 2 that want to join together to go against the bigger kingdom, which is Kingdom 3. The courier is going from Kingdom 1 to Kingdom 2. He gets killed, and the documents are brought to the people in Kingdom 3 who sent spies and people for espionage, because they know what's in the documents, and they start talking to the king of Kingdom number 2 to say, listen, we've just found out that Kingdom number 1 is going to betray you because of A, B, C, D, telling lies wrapped in little bits of truth. And then Kingdom 3 and 2 can attack Kingdom 1, and by the time Kingdom 1 falls, Kingdom 2 is a little bit weak, and then Kingdom 3 wipes out Kingdom 2. There you go.
Okay, so we've got some espionage and deceit now built into it with these documents that we've got.
That can grow big time.
Yeah, that's definitely like, that's a lot of content. the whole storyline.
You just spun quite the yarn there.
Yeah.
So where does that happen in the timeline of this world we just built? Is that happening like right now? Did that happen in the past?
No, we can have it happening like 6 months before the courier goes out. Like Kingdom 1 and 2 are in discussions. They both have troubles with the third kingdom attacking them on both sides. Then they realize, look, we need to join forces, have little talks here and there, and then have the documents drawn up. As they're being sent across, they chance upon, they're caught by the like scouts from the third kingdom.
From Kingdom 3, okay. Yeah.
But if you start something beforehand, you're building up the tension, and as a reader, you want to think, okay, cool. Let's hope that the two kingdoms can unite. That's the only chance against Kingdom 3. And by the time they're emotionally attached and the courier's killed and the scouts get the documents, then you add another layer. The scouts are chased by both the Kingdom 1 and Kingdom 2's forces, but the forces don't know that they've got the documents. All they're doing is just piss off. We're chasing you out of our kingdoms. Yeah. We're not going to kill you, just chase you away. Then the reader is like screaming at the book going, What are you doing? They've got the documents. Stop him. He's got the documents. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Have I
then
gone too far, too deep?
No,
not at all. No.
Okay. I can see Michael smiling. You're loving this.
This is great.
This is good stuff. It's so much fun. You have no idea how fun it is for us to have a third brain in here with us, because
it's a different perspective.
It's a whole different perspective.
Yeah,
we love
great.
it. So real quick,
cool.
I want to layer this on top of this world we've built. So when you say kingdoms, I'm translating that to basically the tribes that we have.
Yeah.
So these tribes,
Yep.
so these tribes they were communicating to try and maybe conspire against this third tribe that right now is kind of the big dog, right? This third tribe we're saying they're the big dog. They're the ones to beat. They're on top. And so there's a little conspiring happening, but the third tribe is too good. And so these documents, so if we're writing a book, I would say these documents are kind of the item that they're the thing that spark the story, is what it sounds like. That's kind of that's what sparks this whole conflict, this whole plot, are these documents. So, yeah, that's rad. That's killer. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, these are so inside of the world we have, it's a very important timeline start of the documents being sent. I do like the idea that I think this is what you're kind of going into, where they finally get to Kingdom 3, but then Kingdom 2 is trying to sell out Kingdom 1 as the only one doing it, and they're kind of trying to be like, no, we're
that's good. That's
cool.
good.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
Me and you were good. It was them all along. And it's like, okay, now you're just trying to stay alive.
That's
kind of
good. They're just trying to save their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's looking out for themselves in the end, right? So
yeah, because once they realize it's too late and they're going to get destroyed by 3 anyway, they're like, well, what can we do? What can we do?
Yeah, all bets are off at that point.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you thought document was going to stump us.
No way.
Hey, no. It stumped me. I'll admit that much. Because we were so deep in the...
one more aspect I like to think about, and this is not super important, but it is to some people, the actual, like, what is the document? Is it like an animal skin that's rolled up? Is it... Do they have paper? Like, what is it written? Is it written in blood? Like, how... What is this looking like? What do you guys think? Is it like a deer hide or whatever that they've written on?
Yeah, that's telling the age. I'm thinking it's paper, but paper is very rare.
Okay.
Very rare. That's why.
That's a good point.
Oh.
Yeah, because when they first started sending messages on paper, it was extremely hard to make. So it was rare, very valuable. So this is another thing. And because it's rare, you can't write too much on it.
Yeah.
And I'd say because Michael was like pulling up like this, it is sort of like a scroll in a leather tube.
Okay.
That'd be a good way with
like
straps so you can have it wrapped over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So these couriers were actually like really high profile people, not like the mailmen we see today who have like,
no.
You know, it's an everyday
job.
job.
To be trusted.
These are high profile people.
Trusted, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that makes a little more sense why someone would like capture this. They would take this because that person's important. I want what he's got. It's probably something very important.
Yeah, he's got to have something good.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
And I'm imagining this document too is kind of on the importance level of like a Magna Carta, you know, like
the
this
Declaration
document
of Independence.
Yes. Nicolas Cage.
You got it. You got
it. Oh my gosh, my wife just watched that movie for the first time a couple weeks ago, and she just was overjoyed. She had the time of her life watching Nicolas Cage steal the Declaration of Independence.
It's a good, fun movie.
I mean, yeah, I can't knock it. That was a great movie. But yeah, so this document has that sort of weight and that sort of importance to the current structure of this world. And so that's why it kicks off this plot. It sets fire to under everybody on what's happening. So cool. I like that. Let's go to word number 3.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
This is all Michael. Word number 3, you do this yourself.
We'll see.
Yeah, Michael, give us your first thoughts here. So this one, all right, I tried to ease off a little bit, but this might actually be harder. The word is life.
Life.
Just life. Like the game.
The game of life, huh?
Yeah.
Never liked it. Not a fan. The game of life, real life, love it.
Big fan.
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. I'm on the spot.
See?
You said it's all. I'm on the spot now. I can't think of any.
And some of the general words can be tough, can't they? But give us just a spitball. What comes to your mind first?
When you say life,
Yeah, when I say life.
the first thing that comes to mind is like life magic. And we haven't established magic in this world. I don't know if we want to, but that's the first thing that hits me is like a school of magic based on life. Like growing plants, growing things, because they're in this such harsh world that magic would be extremely powerful and useful. Like a life magic.
I feel like it'd be extremely rare too.
Very rare.
Not only rare, but have it this way, because that's a really cool thing. You like harsh world growing plants and everything. But in my series, I've got the concept of magic is when you use it, it takes a toll on the actual user.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the person who grows the plants and everything, as they're doing this, how about you have it they're taking away days and weeks from their own life to provide for everyone else? Because it's not just, oh, we're hungry, let's grow this.
Yep.
This person's actually dying to produce for everyone else, and they know that they're dying. So that raises them in the order of the tribe to like, sort of like a shaman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Indians, it's like they're very revered and everything. They're basically giving their lives so their tribe can survive.
That's cool. That's very cool.
No, because then you want to keep the harsh reality. If you have a world where you can just grow food whenever you want to, you sort of go, where's the drama and conflict?
Where's the urgency? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the word, the urgency. And with someone actually dying to provide for other people, that's makes so much urgency. And then even up to the point where one last burst of magic for this person, then they're going to die. But there's been a couple of babies born, so the old die to, provide for the young.
Yeah.
So, the circle of life. Yeah.
Also, the idea of, I'm just in my mind's eye imagining like a young girl who is this person who can use this life magic, who is basically 12 years old, but looks like a grandma, it is the age of 80, just imagine like that would be I feel like that would be such a fun challenge to write.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But also that would be so cool, right? Because there has to be a maturity there, because you are responsible for so many things, but at the same time, it's still a 12-year-old girl. And so I think it would be fascinating to write that, right? Or just to, I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
This could be worked in with the first story with the triangle. Very much.
Yeah.
The triangles and the mountains are bleak.
Uh-huh.
That can be worked in. I'm going to listen to this podcast later when it's put on, and I'm writing down a concept. I can't stop the ideas in my head.
I can't wait.
It's got to be. This is all the same world. So we're talking. Yeah. It's just so cool that there would be like one. We'll call them shamans just for now. One shaman per tribe, who is like born into the tribe, basically, and chosen maybe by like some sort of ritual, or they're just born into it. I don't know what you would want to do with that.
The magic chooses them. That they can't be. Cool. It's like they're born into it.
So they're born with it, basically.
Yeah, they're born with it, because by choosing, that could cause a lot of infighting, which you don't need.
Yeah, a lot of politicking.
Yeah, that was the only thing about Magician which I didn't like too much. There was too much politics. Good story, but the politics sort of slowed it down.
Yeah.
So in this story, I want to take away all the speed bumps. Have you got speed bumps in America?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
No, I don't know what you call them.
They're called speed
we call
humps.
speed bumps. No, we
humps.
don't.
They're called
Do you call them
undulations.
You're lying.
I'm not
He's lying.
Why would I
He's
lie?
lying. Everyone calls them speed bumps in America.
Okay. So in the
Undulations.
in a really good fantasy story, or any story for that matter, you need to take all the speed bumps out so it's a nice smooth ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Speed
right
bumps
to
are
the-
so jarring. I don't like them.
To the meat.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
It's like when you read a book and you have to put it down and go, what was he talking about? And then you've got to try and get back into it. That destroys the whole story.
Yeah,
you're right.
ruins the flow. Okay, so they're born into this and they use this magic, and then it's like their life is burning like a candle on both ends, except being lit by a blowtorch on both ends. Like it's just it is burning out
it's
quick,
cool.
depending
it's
on the
really
tribe.
Cool because they are giving of themselves to help others in this such a terrible time, and I like that a lot. They're draining themselves to create for their tribe.
Do you know what would be cool in this? Their internal dialogue.
Oh yeah.
It's like their outward one. Like I'll go back to the beginning of the end, the novel I sent for you, the first of my series, where Romulus meets Pip for the first time on the cart, and Romulus says, "Oh, how did you become a thief?" And she gives like a short 1 or 2 sentence answer, but then she goes back, internal dialogue, to remember exactly what happened to force her into being who she is now. And that's so powerful because that's the way to tell the story. And if this young 12-year-old, she can be out all happy, I'm helping everyone and blah, 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 but inside it's tearing her apart. She's like, seeing all the other kids her age playing and doing what kids like that do, but she's got this weight on her shoulders. She needs to provide and needs to help, but at the same time she's dying, so it's killing her inside. How does she cope with that? On the outside all happy, but on the inside it's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it.
That's powerful.
That would be fascinating, especially too, because again, you're talking about the mind of a young girl or young boy. So
they've got to mature real quick.
Yeah, that is rough. And also one last thing I want to add.
Yep.
One last thing I want to add too is go back to like tribe number 3, kind of the big guys, the big bad almost, and what we've built. Imagine if they were to abuse the powers to where these kids, when they're born, they die very young because they just say, you're going to use these powers, boom, 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 boom. They kind of like they're treat them like a factory, you're going to produce this much for us, boom, 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 and then another one will be born. So I mean, there's so many ways that you could approach that. Like they could be treated, they could be venerated, like, kind of put up on an altar almost. Yeah, or they could be treated like objects, like your tools to use, so there's so many angles to go at as far as how these tribes would treat these very important figures.
Okay, here comes another curveball, yeah?
Yeah.
You guys are going to love this.
Okay.
We'll call this the Oriole curveball.
Okay.
What if one or a small group of these gifted children escape the third kingdom and go to the second kingdom? We've been used for this, but we want to help you now.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the coolest or what?
That is
like,
cool.
What the hell? Where'd they go?
Yeah.
And you just doubled the potential.
Conflict. Yes. That's cool.
Yeah. That really spurs that conflict, but they're helping, and that I like that.
Yeah.
I like the curveball.
So many ways you can use that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This has been the coolest. I didn't expect this. This is
right.
I'm glad you're here.
We have so much fun doing this. This is a good time.
Yeah.
No, like I've heard your podcast and everything. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But to actually being one, I was like, oh wow, I've got free reign. This is cool.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, different to listen than to participate. It's fun.
Yeah.
So this has been a good time. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Adam, for helping us and being on with us, and again, just sharing with us your knowledge and your expertise. You definitely showed out today. You definitely helped us.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. You came and delivered today.
Yeah. And then one more time for anyone listening, we're going to put the link to Adam's book in the show notes.
Through my, do you want to put the link to my website?
We could put that.
Shows both books. Yeah, if you could, that'd be.
We'll put the link to his website where you can go pick up your own copy of the book. It's great. Recommend it. Check it out. Those will be in the show notes for you guys to find. So do you have anything else before we leave here, Adam? You have anything you want to say to the listeners or anything?
I spoke to Michael before FaceTime just to see how things were going to run. You guys are cool. I'm sending this to you guys, yeah?
Oh.
Get a copy each.
All right on, man.
Yeah. And that, if you thought the beginning of the end was good, this blows it out the water without, you have no idea.
Cool.
All right.
When I first wrote the book, you know how Romulus is forced on a journey?
Yeah.
When I first wrote it, he met Oriole and he went on the journey 3 months later. And this one, he goes on the journey a lot quicker to add urgency.
Okay.
Like, did the story have enough urgency to it? And you were thinking, like, I had the premise with Romulus. Every time he tried to fix something, it was actually him throwing gasoline onto a fire, but he didn't know he was doing it. Like when he was trying to avoid the sheriff, he thought, yep, that's good, I'll avoid the sheriff this way, but he made it so much worse. And you guys will understand this one. Everything just goes up in smoke.
Oh, jeez. Well,
did you like that? That was good, dancing around.
Yeah, you're doing good.
You did a good job of that.
Yeah.
Clever.
And I think your favorite character to hate would be James.
Okay.
Did you not like the way James was? Do you know James? Or you sort of understood why he did what he did?
Yeah, I didn't mind James. What about? Yeah, I don't.
I hated Remus, man, which I think was what you were going for. But for me, it was a pretty.
I didn't want to mention Remus. I didn't want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's mentioned in like the first page of the book, so I don't think that.
Yeah, I know. But that's no, Remus and the Warlords. They're bad. They're beyond evil. Holy shit!
I just think you did a good job. Yeah, I think you did a good job developing that.
Yeah, they're easy to hate.
without any spoilers or anything, I was told that the last fight scene in the novel, I won't say between who, but on top of the mountain, was one of the best fight scenes people have read about, because it opened up some of Romulus's memories to his magical abilities.
Which that was, I think that was a smart way to do that. That was
with the creatures and that around as well, and you're thinking he's stuffed.
Yeah.
And by that time, the interaction between Romulus and Pip, when Pip goes, "What? You think I can't count how many there are? We're gone. What are we going to do?"
Yeah.
And the warhorse, that was named after my grandmother's dog, Rufus. I love the thing of the warhorse, like twice the size of a normal horse. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Imagine being kicked by one of them.
Oh no, I have I have an irrational fear of horses. So a big horse is just
double the size and getting kicked. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't like horses. But
this has been so cool, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
This is a ton of fun.
I've had fun. This is cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, for us here at Heroes and Thieves, Adam, thanks again. That's gonna do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening, and that's it for us. We'll see you next time.